Okay, so I have been working so hard. I'm still trying to organize, but at least I can walk in my craft room now, which originally I couldn't walk in. If you can kind of remember it, it was like my closet. I had stuff everywhere. So now I can at least get to my craft stuff. So I'm going to figure out what I want to do, start crafting. Wish me luck.
And today is part 2 of the Craft Your Stash collab, and I am participating with all of these amazing and talented ladies, which I will go into a little bit more detail about that, but there is a playlist down below, so I hope you guys get lots of inspiration and have some fun along the way. So we're going to jump right into project 1. Now, I literally was just digging through one of my bins and I found some already cut up Dollar Tree thin wood signs. Now, I feel like I use these all the time, but I always have them and I really love them. So I grabbed these and I knew I could do something with them. Now, if you were like me and when you saw these macrame little corded, I actually don't even know what they considered them at Dollar Tree. I bought them probably 6+ months ago and am just now getting around to crafting with it. So I took the macrame section off of the little dowel, and then I took some Dollar Tree faux leather and cut 2 strips out the same size. Now I'm going to make 2 little tabs, and what you're going to want to do first is hot glue the edge of the side on the dowel and flap over your faux Dollar Tree leather, and you're going to want it about 3/4 of the way down because you're going to do that for both sides, and then you're also going to glue the opposite side. So I hope that makes sense. Just watch closely. So we're going to be kind of like making it little straps with the little faux leather cord, and it is going to turn out so cute. Now, you're going to want to go very light with the glue because this isn't real leather, so it's definitely going to show if you use too much hot glue or if you have a high temperature. Now, I had just turned on my hot glue gun, and so it wasn't entirely the full high heat setting, so that was to my advantage. Then I'm just going to take 2 little gold, are these considered thumbtacks? Those little tack brads, whatever we're calling them. And I just pushed it right through the little wooden board. Now, I did use some hot glue on the back just to make sure I wouldn't poke myself and glued that to the back. Now, I also found these adorable little arrows. Couldn't tell you, probably 6+ months ago, if not longer, also from the Dollar Tree. Now, it comes in the 2-pack, and I really love them, but I just wanted to jazz them up a little bit. You could totally make this however your style. You could paint them different colors, but I love the black and white. So I just took some of the cork ribbon, also from Dollar Tree, and wrapped it around the bottom section of my arrows and just hot glued it down. Now, they're going to be similar, both the black and the white. I think the only difference I did was the dry brushing. I added some raffia ribbon, which this fell off of an old project that I reused the glass piece for. So recycle and reuse, that's what we're saying. So I took that raffia ribbon and just knotted it to the bottom, and I really was loving it. So I did it on both sides. I wasn't sure how I would like it, but I definitely ended up loving it and did that to the black arrow as well. And then I just took some of my acrylic crafting paint and just kind of lightly dry brushed some black on the white arrow and vice versa. Did some white paint on my black arrow. And then the next step is just deciding if I wanted them the exact same place or kind of at different positions. And I'm just doing what I do best and just kind of winging it, and decided to kind of have them at the same position. Now, it'll probably drive me crazy later on and I might change it, but it's hot glue and you can change your mind. So I just glued the little dowel section because that's the only part that sticks out from your little arrow. So I just glued that dowel and then pushed it down and let the hot glue set, and all you have to do after this is add your little macrame cord back to your dowel, and this sign is done. And jumping right into project 2. Now, as I said, I grabbed way too many of these little macrame cord things. And so I'm like, I'm gonna finally use them. So I grabbed another one of those and one of these Dollar Tree rub-on transfers. Now, I thought it was, kind of going well. Now, I'm making these for my daughter's room. I have been redoing her room for quite some time, and I finally got some paint to redo her room and hang up all of her new cute big girl signs. So that's what this project is going for. Now, I don't know if it was because the wood was unfinished or just this specific Dollar Tree rub-on transfer. Now, I have told you guys how much I love them, but wow, it literally, that saying with SpongeBob 5 years later, yeah, that's literally what my mentality was going. I probably had to rub for at least 15 to 20 minutes to make sure this all the way transferred, but it eventually did. Now, initially, I was thinking of kind of knotting the macrame part that was dangling around the wood part. And when I originally tried it, the macrame cord was too thick and it kind of just looked bunched up, and then it was covering up half of the words from the transfer, and I wasn't liking it, and I thought it just looked too haphazard, I guess, in a way. So scratched that idea and decided, hey, I'm going to just try to glue it on the back and see if I can get that to work. And lo and behold, it totally worked. So I just flipped my little sign over and just glued it down with my hot glue. And it did stay really amazingly. It surprised, yes, even me. Just I had to kind of push in the center part just so that it would fit on my sign, and pressed it down. And remember how I said this was part of the Craft Your Stash collab? This is actually the second part of this collab, and this month is my co-host is Crafting with Maria. Now, I've known Maria for several years now, and she is just so talented and so awesome. Now, if you love all things farmhouse and just so amazingly budget friendly and just hits the nail on the mark every single time, these are some of my favorite highlights from one of her more recent ones. And y'all know I love some nautical decor. I mean, how adorable are those things? Make sure you check out her page and the playlist. The link is in the description box, and we'll jump right into project 3. Now, project 3 is a combination of a Dollar Tree sign and front door wreath with a Michael's grab bag item. One of those. Now, I bought this little wooden round from Christmas a few years ago in my $5 Michael's grab box. The wooden beads and pretty much everything else is from Dollar Tree. Now, don't you just love how I'm just using a knife to get the screws out? I mean, totally a crafty moment. No idea where my little screwdriver was, but that's what I had on hand. So I'm taking some of my Waverly chalk paint. Now, I loved this blue, but I thought it just kind of was a little bit boring. So I am just painting along, just doing what I do best. And randomly, I'm like, what if I did an ombre? So that's what I do. I'm not even like thinking about it when I did it, but I just literally saw the white paint there and was like, I'm gonna do it. So I need to buy some more white paint, and I just started kind of adding it. And now, to do a really good ombre, you just need to just keep blending. Add more, add less. I wanted it a really light ombre, so I added a lot more white to about 3/4 of my wood round sign. Now, you can make this sign completely out of Dollar Tree. They do sell these larger wood rounds now, which I love. And I do have several of them. Just, this is what I grabbed. It was, I don't know. This is the one I grabbed. So I am just completely blending it out. And I thought it just didn't transition enough. So I did end up adding a little bit more of my blue paint to the top, and just kind of blending it until it creates that blue to white ombre that I was really digging and loving. And like I said, it's so easy to do. It's so fun and so pretty. I love doing these. I make them all the time. You can do this with pretty much any color. You go from the darkest color to the top, and you want to go all the way to the lightest of the white, pale color, all the way down at the bottom. Now, this little welcome sign is also from the Dollar Tree, and a recycled piece from another little front door sign. Now, it had I did a Mod Podge with some cinnamon to create a rust effect. So that is why I am just completely painting over my black acrylic paint, and it is sticking. Now, these are normally just a regular galvanized color from the Dollar Tree. If you want to do this black paint to really make it stand out from the blue, you're going to want to add a layer of Mod Podge over top before you paint. Since mine was already had that covering and also had the texture from the cinnamon, the black acrylic paint just sticks really well to it. So I didn't have to worry about that step. But just letting you guys know, you can't just paint over these galvanized letters. The paint won't stick. It will just run right off and you'll get super frustrated. Been there, done that. Mod Podge. So just used my handy dandy blow dryer and painted that welcome sign. I was really liking how it was overall going to go together, and I was just determined to just make it work. Now, Dollar Tree has been selling these lamb's ear greenery pieces. Hopefully you guys can find them. I have just been loving them. So I am using some of that. I am using some of this ribbon I had literally just on my table and decided to kind of just go with it. I cut a piece of ribbon, probably about 12 inches, and I just made 4 little loops, kind of haphazardly. And then I'm just going to use a piece of string and kind of wrap it around to secure it. Now, normally I love using zip ties, but I feel like I used my zip ties for something around my house and couldn't tell you where my zip ties are. But I love making zip ties bows because it makes it easier to attach to the beaded garland. Hopefully that makes sense. I will kind of explain that later on. The string doesn't attach as easily as the zip tie. So I initially thought I would wrap around that little burlap ribbon, but I wasn't liking that. So I just ended up making a smaller little bow part and then kind of hot gluing that all the way around, and just that's what kind of I don't even know. That's like what was going on. Now this little burlap ribbon, oh my goodness, I burnt literally half of my finger off because all of that little white section is open. So, the glue, it's just seeping out. And I'm like, why did I do that? We live and we learn. I'm pretty sure I have no fingerprints left to any of my fingers, but it is what it is. So I am beginning to just glue down my little wooden beaded section to my wood round, and I didn't glue every single bead. I didn't think it was necessary, but if you would want to, I just couldn't figure out how to do it on every single one because the beads move. I don't know. So this is kind of how I thought of doing it, just gluing a few pieces. Now, remember I said that Dollar Tree lamb's ear? Oh my goodness, I am totally obsessed. I love it. So I have been picking this up for quite some time, and I just kind of placed it on both sides. And remember how I said zip tie? This is why. Now, do you see up at the top where I'm trying to cover with my ribbon? It is gapped, and normally you can just put a zip tie through that little gap and secure your ribbon bow. But what I ended up doing was using the little piece of string, and I wrapped it around, and then I didn't have enough. Oh my goodness. Every time I see these after I'm watching, I'm like, what am I doing? Don't do as I do. Live and learn through my mistakes because I am sharing them with you. And so I just added some more greenery just kind of everywhere. I really wanted to just fluff it up. So I just added more until I was happy with it. And I'm still just laughing at myself. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm struggling with my glue gun, battery's dying. You know, I'm like, oh, I'm so close to finishing. The struggle is real. So I just added a few pieces of, I added some hot glue to the back of my welcome sign, and I should have grabbed all of those. Oh my goodness, the horrible glue string, but I just used my blow dryer and got all of the strings off and added a few more pieces because, you know, that's what I do. And I wasn't liking the front part, and then just grabbed a ribbon from, or not a ribbon, wow, a button from my stash, and that is done. Now, I'm not going to call this little bonus project a full project because I kind of did it because my glue sticks were everywhere, and I have a container somewhere in my craft room that I always stick my glue sticks, but who knows, couldn't find it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to recycle this little glass candle jar that I had with some really cute little glass stickers that I got from Dollar Tree. And I pulled them out just so I could kind of see them. I wasn't quite sure which one I wanted to do, but I really love them. My friend Lisa gave them to me. She knows I love all of these hippie boho just inspired stickers and theme. So I just decided to go with it. I loved this little teepee with the feathers. I just thought it was so cute, and having like fun things on my desk that make me smile, you know, that's fun to be around and to craft. So you could use this for pretty much anything if you have leftover jars that you love to keep. I love candles because of the tops. I can always, you know, recycle and reuse. So I just decided to just kind of stick with a few of them. You could totally stick this entire thing with 1,000 of these fun stickers, but I decided just to do a couple on both sides. Then I grabbed my handy dandy little hot glue and glued the top little wood button that I had on hand. And then I was like, it's still a little bit just too plain. So this is what happens when I'm crafting. Whatever is kind of closest to me and around me is what I end up using. Now, I had it on my desk because, you know, I had just used it for several other projects. And I don't know, I bought so much of this ribbon. So I just decided to kind of glue that on the top and the bottom section of my little container. And I really just loved how this turned out. So simple, so easy, but I love having a functional DIY that I can have on my desk and it makes me smile. Now, for my final project, I have had these pieces. I actually got them from my friend. She made these lanterns, and oh my goodness, I just love them. And I was like, I'm totally going to make that. It's a combination of Dollar Tree items, Amazon items, just so many random different pieces. Now, these little squares are from the Dollar Tree. Have you seen those little wooden puzzles that it creates a shape? It's normally in the kids section. Anyways, I bought these to craft with so long ago. So you just cut off the string, and of course it has all of those really weird holes in them at like different positions because it's kind of like a snake. And so honestly, my hardest part was just trying to figure out where I was going to be covering up the holes to those little wooden squares. So that was half of the fun. So I would recommend to use some wood glue, but for most of my projects, I don't actually use the wood glue unless I am taking my time. I will probably go back and wood glue this, especially when my kids get to it and knock it over, and I'm going to have to piece it back together. But for right now, I just used my hot glue gun just for speedy purposes. Now, I am taking one of these little Dollar Tree, I believe they're like in the macrame section or in the crafting section. I got it, and I believe it was like a 4-pack of these little circle, they're like little, I don't know. So I took some of that and then some Dollar Tree wire, and then I took a bead and glued that down to hold it on there. So that's going to be the top section of our lantern. So I just pushed that down and let it dry. Now I added so much hot glue to make sure that this would stay, but I'm definitely confident. Do you see? Oh my goodness. I'm confident in its ability to stay and not move. So, you know, word to the wise, probably don't use as much hot glue as I did, because I had to let it set for quite some time because I put so much hot glue in there. Anyways, let that set, because it's me and that's what I do. And after I glued the top section, I knew I was going to be gluing that down. And originally I had that little extra piece. It looks like a little candlestick, but I thought it made it look too high. And I just kept going back and forth because I believe my friend did the two parts. And I'm like, well, it's so pretty how hers turned out. So I just went with it. But if you don't have like little candlesticks, like this little wooden piece, you could totally not add that extra height element. But these were all of the different pieces that I had, and just kind of messing around, seeing what would look good. And these little wooden beads, they're like cut in half. I have seen them at Michael's. I have seen them, these are actually from Amazon. But I know you can get them at so many different places. And the little wooden plaques are from Dollar Tree. So like I said, it's so many just different pieces. And you can even see all of my, you know, oh my goodness, my craft stash, even behind me. I mean, there's stuff everywhere. I really need to go on a deep dive of my craft room with you guys. It is so bad. So I just went with 4 little wooden halves at the top, kind of right over top of all of the little square dowels. I really liked the placement of that and thought it looked really nice. So then I decided to glue the rest of my little halves at the bottom section. I believe it was 5 little parts at the bottom in between each of the little square dowels. And I feel as though I can't be the only one that has so many lanterns just everywhere in your house. I just love, love, love making lanterns. These are some of my favorite projects that I do. I should probably make a lantern playlist. I made another one out of some Dollar Tree frames not too long ago. I will look for that video to link it in my description or my cards for you guys. But anybody else like just love making those? I always feel like I see them at the store and they're always just so expensive, and I can just never pull the trigger unless it's on clearance or I find them at the thrift store. So that's kind of always my issue with the lanterns. Maybe it's just me, but show of hands, I cannot be the only one. Oh, please let me not be the only one. So I ended up kind of making a stain. Now I am using some of my Waverly Fawn paint, and then I just added a whole bunch of water. Now the water really simplifies it and it creates it where you can still see the wood grain. I wanted this to kind of have a, I don't even know, an older look to the vibe of it. I normally do like a black or a gold, but I wanted it to be a little bit different. I do love regular stain. I have quite a bit of gel stain or even my crafting Waverly stain, but I decided to go this route and I just think it turned out really pretty. It's not quite as thick when it is the chalk paint, but you can kind of see how it dries and it is just so, so gorgeous. And as I said, it kind of gives it that rustic aged look without all of the stain and the smell. And I always have to do it outside. It gives me a migraine. So sometimes I cheat and I do the paint and you water it down with your water and it creates like a wash effect. And I just did that over my entire lantern. I did have to do about 2 coats of the entire piece. And it did take quite some time for it to dry after the first coat. But I really love how it ended up looking after the 2 coats. I just used one of my foam brushes and just went to town. And I can say, I have been doing this for several of my videos. I went to, where did I go to? I love buying craft stuff there. it's actually a tool supply store. Oh gosh. Now I can't think of what it's called. I'm going to think of it probably after the fact. And I bought a whole bunch of just random items. I've bought scissors there, and I saw this huge roll of craft paper, and it's kind of like I think it said 50 feet or 100 feet. And I've been rolling it out and painting on it so then I can just throw it away and it doesn't mess up my table. I am the world's worst and messiest crafter. So this has made my life so much easier. I have that big old roll and I can just kind of throw it out when I am done. So that was like a win in my book. And I actually, these foam brushes, they had like a 20 pack and it was only like $5. So such a good deal, even cheaper than buying, like the 5 or so pack from the Dollar Tree. I definitely, like I said, I love buying craft supplies there because it always surprises me what you can find when my husband is aimlessly wandering for tools. I look for crafting supplies. So that's what I ended up doing it. And I just really, really love, I'm going to call it a quick and easy hack, but it's probably just common sense. Hey, you don't want to paint on your table, but it's me, y'all. Anyways, I hope you guys love how this one turned out. And I hope you guys get tons of inspiration from all of these other talented crafters. And I haven't entirely decided where I want to put the sign up. I'm actually thinking of putting it up in my bathroom when I finally finish remodeling it. But right now I shoved this piece in my library and oh my goodness, it is so adorable. I just love the little leather tabs with the tassels, and it just really came together. I love how simple and fun this was. I hope you guys recreate these two really fun and easy crafts. They would be a lot of fun to make with your kids. But I just love making these little crafts for my daughter's room. She always loves them, and she just thinks she is something special when she gets mommy's new crafts on her wall. And here is my final lantern. And like I said, I haven't decided where I want this piece either. Everything turned out so fun and so pretty. I'm just excited, kind of adding more of my spring and summer decorations. And that's kind of what this front door, welcome sign, I did add it to my spring wreath, but I might change it out eventually, but I love it as is right now. Hope you guys had fun, and don't forget to check out the playlist listed in the description. Until next time.